Okay, having cleared and sorted this area out, I've now done the first 2 beds here. I've cleared them, ready for planting, and the cage has also been cleared of all the weeds, and I just put some things like the potatoes out of the way for the moment, but all this stuff's got to go in all these brassicas. They're way late, they should have been in already, but I'm way behind this year again. Life happens, but that's all got to go in. But yeah, this cage is done. So some of these brassicas will go in that first bed, and the others will go in another bed further up, which I've still got to clear, but I'll sort those out. This morning, or this afternoon, I'm going to try and get this bed planted, and this bed is cleared. I mean, that's all loose stuff lying about, loose weeds. I'll dismantle this cold frame, and all the weeds have been taken out of this one and this one. So the tomatoes are in there, and the physalis and the courgettes will go in this bed, and the pumpkins that are way overdue being planted, some will go in there, some will go in there, and some will go in another bed up there. We'll get a few things in the ground today, because the next 2 days it's going to do nothing but rain. But this soil is so dry. I've watered it and it still looks dry, so I'm going to wait till after the rains to put the brassicas in. In the centre of the bed, I've put a brick frame and filled it with manure, and then I will plant the pumpkins into this. I've put the 6 squash in here, and they can be fed and watered through there. And I had 1 butternut squash autumn crown left, so I put that there. Well, I've transplanted the squash in there and in there. This bed is also done, so I've got 5 squash along here and 5 in that rectangle. I've got 2 physalis, and I've got courgettes. Now, a couple of them are looking a bit sickly, but that's where you always grow more than you need. But they are looking a bit sickly, and those tomatoes look a bit sickly, but they've been sitting in those small pots and they've just been transplanted, so they will look a little bit sorry for themselves for a while. This one looks alright. The others, hopefully they'll pick up, but those 2 look a little bit sickly, so we'll see what happens. They were fine whilst they were in pots, but I think they were in the pots a little bit too long. This asparagus is looking a little bit yellow, but the soil is wet and the ones next to it are doing fine, so I don't know what is happening to that one. We'll see. And the garlic looks like it's about ready to be harvested. The elephant garlic is alright. I think we've got a little bit of sign of rust on here, so I won't be saving these for seed. I'll dig them up and then we'll have a look. Well, we've got a good harvest of garlic. Lots of garlic, and a fork is for scale. And I've got some elephant garlic as well. Unfortunately, we get a little bit of rust on a few of the garlic. That's not a problem. And then we've got allium leaf miner, which means I can't really dry these or give them to anybody, so I'll have to freeze this lot, which is a bigger problem. But the biggest problem is that we've got rot on some of the garlic, and one of the elephant garlic, you can see it's quite nasty. So that is more serious, because it means the disease is in the soil, and I really shouldn't be growing alliums in there. So that means no garlic, no leeks, no onions. That is a big problem, because those are the things I use a lot. Well, that's life. These things happen, so you just got to live with it. White rot can be very nasty, as it can stay in the soil for a very long time and destroy your allium crops. It's a nasty mould that will completely rot your garlic or whichever allium you've got, and you can see this one is just completely rotted in the ground. I did manage to find it, but it completely ruins your crop. The first and most important step is to get rid of all the infected plants, such as these, and anything that you suspect might be infected. And don't put them in the compost. Either burn them straight away or put them in the rubbish bin and get rid of them that way. Do not put it in the compost. Do not put the it in the city compost either, because it will still remain and could contaminate everybody else's soil. So get rid of all the plant residues, any bits of leaves, anything that has been in touch with the soil, and if there's anything that's rotted in the ground, dig it up and get rid of it, because if there's any little bits left, it will persist on the living tissues. And wash and clean any tools that you've used in that bed. So this fork is the only thing I use to dig up the garlic, so I will wash that. I managed to dig this up from where it had, the stem had rotted. You must get every bit of living tissue or living allium plants out of the ground. So if there are any bulbs, make sure you get them out. Any little bits of plant residues, get rid of them. Hello. Allium leaf miner can be a real pest and it can ruin a whole crop, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you lose everything. You can still recover some of your crop. My garlic crop was severely attacked by allium leaf miner, and I've dug it all up before it does any more damage. And in this video I'll show you some of the ways I'm using to preserve some of the harvest. Obviously I won't be able to store it dry like that, because the leaf miner will continue to eat into the bulb, so I have to use other techniques to store the garlic. I'll show the damage that the leaf miner causes. If I take this part, you can see that there are the little blighters. The parent lays its eggs at the top, and then they work their way to the bottom, and you can see now, just should be able to see the damage. And if I peel another layer, you can see how it's going. And as it gets to the bottom, you can see how it goes through the leaf and goes through right through to the bottom, and it mines down to either the onion bulb or the garlic bulb, and you can quite clearly see the little blighters. Now fortunately these are not too bad. I mean, that one, it might have damaged the actual cloves, but these other cloves are untouched, so I'll be able to salvage most of it. Obviously I can't store it like that. It looks good, but there's a telltale sign of a grubbing there. If I peel that back, you can see them. There it is. So obviously I can't dry these and store them, but generally cloves themselves are fine. So if I peel this back, you'll see that it hasn't got right to the bottom, so these cloves are perfectly fine. I mean, there's that one that's managed to work its way right to the bottom, but it might have just gone to those two. But I can cut those bits out and blitz it and freeze the onion paste, the garlic paste, so that's not a problem. But it just means that I can't just dry them and store them like that. Somebody who'd taken over a new plot had a few surplus barrels, so she was giving them away, and I've gone and got them. With these, that should be all my needs for barrels complete. I won't need any more, or I shouldn't need any more. You can never store too much water, but I think I've got enough. If I have any more, people will start laughing at me. Call me the Rayman or something. I think I have enough rainwater barrels for now. I will at some point put some water in them to make sure that they are watertight. The bottoms seem to be watertight. There's a little bit of water in them, but obviously they were emptied before she moved them to give them away. We'll see how it goes. I bought these garlic bulbs when the garlic I'd stored from last year was finished. I've got a couple of bulbs left. I need to use these rather than the garlic that I've already harvested, because if I'm going to be making a spray and if the garlic that I've harvested is already contaminated, I could be spreading that fungus by using that garlic. So I'm using garlic that I know is not got white rot on it. This is disease-free garlic, and I'm going to make the garlic spray with this. And all I'm going to do is peel it, put it in the blender and get a paste. Then I will dilute that with water in the allotment tomorrow and spread it on the bed. This will fool the fungus into action and trying to feed on the garlic when there is nothing to feed on, and it will get weaker. I will have to repeat this in following years to get rid of the rest of the fungus. Okay, if you look at the garlic, whoops, drop one. The little blighter is there. So you can see there's one there and there's one there. It's gone all the way from the top all the way down to the head of the garlic. But as we get to the cloves themselves, once we peel back the layers, the growths are basically mostly in the stem. You can see that one's gone into the clove, but you can see most of them are in the stem. And this is a hard nut garlic, so it's got the central stem. So if I pull that out, right. So now, got the garlic, and if I get rid of the roots, you can see there's a little bit damage there, and there's one, but it hasn't actually got into the cloves. So if I take out these cloves, it's actually come out, gives me room, and the actual cloves are okay. Now they've still got that layer on, which would become the papery skin once it's dried, so they've still got that layer on. You can see it's just a little bit of a mark there, but this one's fine, and the rest of them are all fine. Now this one has got it in it, it's actually got it in the outer skin, so I could skin that and freeze it. So if I take that out, he's in the skin, so the actual clove itself is perfectly fine, so that can be frozen. Right, so it's a big horrible job and I'll stink of garlic for a week, but it's got to be done. And here's how they look when they've been processed and frozen. So once they're in the tubs, you can just freeze them like that, and then just when you want them, just take them out, either defrost them or stick them in the microwave for a few seconds, and they'll be done. And they will be a little bit squidgy, but they'll be fine for putting in cooked foods and things, sauces and things. If you were making something like pesto, this might be a little bit not right, but otherwise it's fine for everything else.